Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today we're going to react to another testimony of a Muslim leaving the faith. I'm not going to waste time talking. Let's just jump into it.
Yo, what's good, y'all? Thanks for tuning in. I'm Cyrus Speaks, and this is my testimony as to how I converted from Islam to Christianity. So I know it's crazy because a lot of people that follow me, did not know that I used to be a Muslim. Actually, many of y'all who've been friends with me for years even did not know that I converted to Christianity. So I thought it would be good if I made a video giving my testimony, explaining how Jesus saved me from Islam and also why I have decided to continue in Christianity and in this faith. As a young boy in elementary school, I took it upon myself to start to learn and research as much as I could about other religions. I was very interested, very curious. Being absent of faith, I decided to start reading these different books. And in reading these different books, from Judaism to atheism, Christianity, Islam, the list goes on and on and on. I ended up coming upon Islam. And to me, Islam made sense. It made sense to me because ultimately Islam teaches that you can get to heaven based off of your good works and good deeds. Islam
Nah, it's Allah's mercy.
says you have to do, whereas Christianity says Christ has done on our behalf. So to me, Islam made sense. Islam says you are not born into sin, it says you become a sinner. I was living with my mother and my stepfather. It caused so much friction in the household because they were Christians and I disagreed with Christianity. It caused a lot of conflict, and I actually moved out to live with my eldest sister and her husband, and they were Muslims. So fast
Hmm.
forward a few years later, I'm living with my sister and her husband, and I'm in school, and literally it is the last day of school. This school was out, and I ended up getting into a fight. I actually got jumped. So after I got jumped, I went home to call some friends of mine. My eldest sister, she saw me calling my homies, and she knew it was about to be some drama. So she's telling me, you ain't about to bring no drama to my house. I ain't about to have no hood dudes at my house trying to make stuff pop off. Literally, while we're arguing, a knock comes at the door. We open the door, and what do you know? It's this white Christian dude at the door. And I say that because at the time I was really dealing with racism as well. So
Hmm.
my sister decides to invite him in. I don't know why. She's a Muslim. I'm a Muslim. We don't like Christians, whatever. But she invites him in nevertheless. So he's telling us how he and some of his church members have decided, since it is now the last day of school and now technically it's summer, that he and his staff would invite some of the youth in our neighborhood and close by neighborhoods over to his house. My sister pressured me to go because she said, you are not about to be getting into some drama. You need to go somewhere where there's some positivity happening. So I'm at this guy's house, and I'm looking around. It's like all these Christians. I had never been around this many young Christians before in my life, especially of different ethnicities, races, so on and so forth. And they chilling, we eating food, we chopping it up, we laughing, and almost out of nowhere, a couple hours goes by, and then this dude is just like, "Hey y'all, we're gonna go ahead and turn some worship music on and start worshiping the Lord." I'm like, bro, what? Worship who? Like, I'm like, man, see, this is why I can't fool with y'all church folk. Y'all Christians, y'all always want to worship and talk about Jesus. It's like, I'm trying to have some good food. I'm trying to have some good time. It was a couple girls up in there. I was checking them out. I was checking them out. So the crazy part about him saying we're gonna start worshiping was that he turned on some music, and it was like some weird hippie music. I mean, it was contemporary Christian music with like an acoustic guitar, but I ain't never heard that. The only gospel music I had ever heard was like that gospel music. So I'm thinking like, what is this weird hippie? We love you, Jesus. Just the weird voices and all. I'm like, man, what is this that's going on? What was really crazy to me though was that all of the people in there, all of the kids, the young adults, literally began to worship Jesus intimately, personally, like they knew him personally. Like some would be dancing, some were singing a song, some were down on their knees crying, some were sitting down. Like literally everyone was just worshiping and talking to Jesus privately. And I had never seen that before. So, I'm like, whatever, I'm trying to face towards Mecca because, in Islam, we're supposed to face towards Mecca when you pray. Probably about 10 minutes went by, and the presence of God filled this man's living room. And I'm not usually a person that talks about like feeling type stuff or spiritual stuff in that way, but there is no other way to explain or describe it than the presence of God literally came in this man's living room and I experienced it and I felt it. So I'm trying to figure out what it is. I'm thinking like, nah, man, I'm tripping. They put something in the food. They don't spice it up. And I'm like, okay, maybe that's not it. Okay, maybe it's my adrenaline since like I jumped earlier. I'm like, maybe it's this weird hipster music that they got playing. So I'm trying to figure out what it is, but I couldn't. So eventually I got up, left out of that man's living room, went in his guest restroom, closed the door, and immediately started blaspheming and cursing the name of Jesus.
With all due respect, I don't think this man was a real Muslim. Even if he was, I don't think he understood his religion very well. Jesus was a prophet of God. None of the prophets are to be disrespected, let alone blasphemed heavily. You don't do that. For this man to be sitting here talking about some, yeah, I started blaspheming Jesus, that sounds like something that like a person would say if they were making a testimony video that's fake and they just assume that Muslims don't like Jesus. So then he puts this in this video. That's what it comes off as. I'm not saying that's what happened, but I mean it's a similar thing whenever he says that like they don't like Christians. Like, no, like Muslims and Christians and Jews have coexisted in one society for, over 1,000 years. It's not until the last 100 years that that trend has changed for, I guess, political reasons. But you cannot sit here and completely deny the over 1,000 years of history where we were actually together. As far as the part where he was talking about the positivity, I don't know why he was using the quotes, because it sounded like he wasn't around good company. Yeah, I don't think this person. And then the fact that he was talking about he was checking out the girls. You can't check out girls, right? You can't. How you gonna be like? You have to lower your gaze, right? You can't be out here checking out girls. So I highly doubt that this person is actually. I mean, I'm not. That's not to say that, oh, because you're checking out girls then you're a kafir. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like none of the stuff really adds up to him being like I mean for all I mean maybe he was Muslim, but he just, like I said, was very misguided, because it sounded like he just looked into Islam on his own at a very young age before he could really understand life. Not to say that I do. Sound like he looked into Islam at a really young age. I think he said whenever he was in elementary school. Is that what he said? That's really young. Like, you don't understand anything. So yeah, looks into Islam at a really young age. Islam made the most sense to him, but it didn't sound like he had like a sheikh or anyone to really help him out. But he said he had a sister who was Muslim. I feel like it's a very important detail for you to explain how is she Muslim, even though her parents are your parents. So if your parents are Christian and they disagree with you for being Muslim, they probably disagree with her too. And your sister had to have some type of influence over you at such a young age for you to even say, oh yeah, Islam makes sense. I don't know. I feel like there's like some details that are like left out. It's kind of weird. Just based on the fact that he blasphemed Jesus, that to me, that is the thing that makes me say that this guy was probably definitely not Muslim, because one of the six pillars of faith is belief in all of the prophets. So you're not going to blaspheme a prophet. Come on now. So I don't even think that this testimony story is valid. To be honest, I don't think this is real. All right. Well, Assalamu alaikum.